colleague. It was the hardest 5K I've ever done. Hence the name Winters Hill, and it's located in Dundee's Hill, or Dundee Hills. So it was this the whole time. It was the hardest. I've done marathons, I've done half marathons. This 5K was brutal. I mean, it was really so hard. I mean, it felt like it went on forever, but it was beautiful. You actually ran through the vineyard. And again, the family who owns this vineyard, they're just lovely. They were great hosts. They do have some wine at the end, so it was really just a really fun morning and afternoon. But it will definitely be remembered as definitely probably one of the hardest 5K, and I've probably run, gosh, hundreds of 5Ks. It's a tough one, but so much fun. So anyway, again, Winters Hill is our wine this month. And now let's talk to you about, I know you wear hearing aids.
Yes.
And let me switch pages here. When did we meet? It was just 2016, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And actually, they were nice enough to print out your audiogram for me. So you do have hearing loss in both ears.
Yes.
And do you know what caused that?
You know, it was probably a combination of things.
Okay.
One was, for 5 years, I worked around machinery that made a lot of noise and stuff, and I didn't wear the right kind of ear protection.
Right.
And that was when I was very young. And then spending 21 years in law enforcement, I did a lot of shooting.
Right.
And shooting with guns, which I think created another big part of the hearing loss.
Okay. And when you came to Good Sound Audiology, had you been anywhere else before that?
No, I had not.
No. So, and when you came, we did your hearing evaluation, which, just so most of you know, that is a covered procedure by Medicare. So that didn't really cost you any money, just cost you a little bit of your time. And if you are around loud noise, guns, over the age of 50, really, you should probably get your hearing evaluated. It's pretty painless, right?
Right.
Yeah, that does not hurt. And so when we did the hearing evaluation on you, we did find hearing loss in both ears. Was that a surprise for you at the time?
No, it was not. I mean, I felt like over the last 5 years that my hearing was progressively getting worse.
Okay.
And where it really impacted me at the time was mainly because of I get involved in a lot of meetings and conference rooms and places like that. One-on-one, I had really not much of a problem.
Okay.
But when I'm in a large group of people, I was having a hard time listening to what was being said, and I needed to do something about it.
And I'm just curious, how long did you notice that before you came in?
Oh,
do you remember?
Probably a good 5 years.
5 years? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not real surprising. This is not, running in for hearing aids is not something that most people are, yay! Better hearing they get really excited about, but spending money, wearing hearing aids, the emotional, the financial commitment that takes,
right.
It's not something people get really excited about. But I didn't recall, again, how long you had noticed it. You were still working at the time, because
Yes.
you're still working now, I know,
Yes.
just in a different line of work a little bit. Tell me a little bit, was it your wife had noticed?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, what was she saying to you? Do you remember?
Well, there were things like when she'd come in from work and, can you turn the television down?
Yeah.
Like those kind of comments.
Okay.
And having to repeat herself 3 or 4 times for the same requests, over and over, having me tell her that she wasn't speaking loud enough.
Right.
While when in fact she was speaking loud enough. I just wasn't hearing what
Just
she was
weren't catching
saying.
it. Yeah, it's funny, when I lecture sometimes I will talk to a group of people and we'll always say, raise your hand if your spouse mumbles. And a lot of hands will go up, and it's interesting because I say if I hooked you up to a lie detector test, you would pass. You're not lying. Right. That is truly what you're hearing. In reality, the spouse often will accompany the patient and they speak fine. It's just through the hearing loss, that's what you're perceiving. So obviously that makes it difficult. So was it kind of her urging that brought you in?
In part it was her urging, and in part it was my just having to deal with some issues at work that I felt like I was lacking in providing. People were repeating information to me, which was kind of embarrassing, to be honest with you.
Right.
You shouldn't have to do that. And so I got to the point where I needed to do something about it. So
were you worried about, because of your line of work, were you worried about safety?
Well, not really, because
missing.
my thing was this, is my job now, is I work for a different police department, and my job is community outreach.
Okay.
And working with different aspects of the community. And so if I get asked to get involved with a particular group,
right.
or how something, the status of something, and I don't, provide the right kind of information at the time that it's needed because I don't hear what
right.
being asked of me, it's not good, especially if some other people in the room have to repeat that in order for me, in order to get that information back out. So that had occurred a few times.
Okay.
And I said, this is enough, I have to do it.
So then you finally came in, and it's been, when did we do that? Let me look.
It's been about 7 months, I think.
I was going to say, I don't even think it's been a year when you and I met.
About 7 months ago.
Yeah, so we checked, your hearing, I'd have to look for the date, but I'll just take your word. About 7 months ago, again, we did find some hearing loss, and we did fit you with hearing aids for the first time. So initially, again, you said you weren't really surprised because by the time you came in, you were seeing some problems. When you came in and we first fit you, did you feel like you had to go through any emotional work? I mean, was it hard for you? Like, especially, I'm kind of a strong guy. I mean, was that hard for you?
No.
Did you feel like you did okay? That wasn't an issue. You were like, look, there's a problem, I'm going to take care of it.
Yes.
Okay. And then financially, hearing aids, as you now know, did you know coming in how expensive hearing aids are?
Well, I knew that they were expensive.
Okay.
And I knew that it was costly. I just didn't know how much it would be, as far as that goes.
Did you?
We have a question.
Yeah, we do have a question.
Sorry.
That's okay.
What was the improvement you noticed most?
Oh, okay. So we do have, I don't know if you guys can hear Elena. Let's get to that question here in 1 second. So we fit you with hearing aids. You, again, emotionally felt like you moved through that part pretty quickly. Financially, they are expensive. Just for some people who don't wear hearing aids, I will tell you that, in my opinion, really good, reputable hearing aids, as you now know, are going to be between $4,000 and $8,000 for a set. That's the private pay rate. Now, especially in Arizona, you can find them cheaper. You can find buy one, get one free. You can even fly across the country and pick out one of those little magazines and get a little amplifier for $200 through the little, when you're on the airplane, they have those free magazines. So I would just advise people that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. But you will see huge price ranges. So I would always advise people, either talk to someone who loves their hearing aids or ask a physician for a referral. And then obviously I'm biased to see an audiologist. And then again, unfortunately, good hearing aids are going to be between $4,000 and $8,000. So let's get that question answered. When you first got the hearing aids, like if you can think back to that first week, I now know you're a pro with them, you're kind of used to them. But do you remember initially, like what you heard, where you saw the most improvement?
Well, probably was initially was conversation with my wife. Okay. And then secondly was the, how it's funny, but you're watching TV. And, like one of my televisions, you see the number go up or down.
Yeah, that little bar.
Yeah, bar, and it shows you the number of the volume.
Right.
And I remember how high I had set the volume.
Okay.
And now what I was setting it at. It was amazing, the difference.
Okay, so the TV went down quite a bit.
Yeah, so it went amazingly down. And I was able to, I went to meetings. I have a boss who speaks very softly. I could hear him clearly. It's like what my hearing was when I was 20 years old.
So, because I didn't review all our notes before I came in, was that a process, or did you have quite a bit of that even the first week, or did that take a few visits to get there?
No, it was pretty immediate.
It was pretty noticeable. Now, for a lot of patients, it definitely takes several, and we've seen each other in 7 months. We typically will do a fitting, a 1 week, then a 2 week, and then maybe another, depending on if you're in Bluetooth hearing aids, which you are, we will talk about that. Then there's another appointment, then we do a 3-month appointment, then we go to a 6-month appointment, and then if you're having problems, there are additional appointments. Now, for our office, those follow-up visits are included, but my point in saying that is for people who've not worn hearing aids. I know a lot of people think, well, if I just buy them, voila, put them on, it's perfect, and it's not often that way. It does usually take a little bit of work, and I will tell people the first week or two, it's definitely the hardest week. I mean, I think, because it's a big change. You're having to mess with something and put it in. I don't remember you having any problems. You seem to to adapt pretty quickly. Work, you saw improvement there as well.
Absolutely. Actually, in every aspect of my life, what I would say, the quality of life that I've had, especially when it comes to hearing,
right,
made a huge difference, which trickles over into other areas of your life.
Sure.
If you really notice it, and so for anybody who has any fear that they're having some kind of hearing loss, it would be ridiculous for them to hold it off, because the cost itself, just for the quality of life that you might have, and gaining it all back, is absolutely worth it.
Right.
Absolutely worth it.
Well, and I think that's the important thing to make note of, is if you spend any amount of money, what you're getting should exceed that cost. I mean,
Absolutely.
The value that we give you, or good hearing aids should give you, it should be, oh, I hated spending the money, but gosh, it was worth it. I would be fair with that. Yes.
We have a few new people, so
Okay.
why don't you introduce who
Okay.
you are and what you're doing?
So again, I'm Dr. Tina Jessee from Good Sound Audiology, and I'm here with Mr. Ray Villa, one of our patients, and we are having our first ever Good Sound Happy Hour, which we are celebrating our first wine of the month from Winter's Hill, and then we're just kind of talking about hearing loss, the experience going through that and getting hearing aids, and that's kind of where we are right now.
I have another question.
Yep, another question?
So, do you listen to music better now?
Oh, so that's a good question. How is music for you? Were you a music lover?
Yeah, I am to a certain extent, yes.
Okay.
The difference is, especially with these halos,
Uh-huh.
was the fact that I can listen to music without having to,
Oh, that's right, yeah.
I can listen to my phone.
Yes.
So oftentimes I will just lay my phone down, put on some music,
Okay.
and listen to it while I'm working on the computer
Okay.
and stuff. I listen to music while I'm at the gym, working
Okay.
out. I listen to a broadcast off of them,
Right.
off of my phone. When I get my phone calls, it's amazing how well I hear my phone calls, from getting the, and then people thinking I'm weird talking on my phone.
Yeah, that's right. So,
You know.
you know what, let me, because I'm not sure who all is in our audience today, and some people are going to be experienced hearing aid users, some people don't know anything about hearing aids, but he is actually referencing Halo hearing aids. It's a particular hearing aid made by Starkey, one of my favorite manufacturers. Not the only good manufacturer, but a very good manufacturer. And in my opinion, they make the best Bluetooth hearing aid. And so he is currently wearing a set of hearing aids called Halos. And the Bluetooth technology, what he was referencing was it allows him to listen to anything from his smartphone. It goes directly to his hearing aids. So like when you go to the gym and work out, you don't have to wear earbuds. He can just play the music and it goes directly to his hearing aids. And for a lot of my patients, that's been really life-changing. The other thing he was referencing is if he gets a phone call, he still has to say hello, but he doesn't have to hold the phone up here. So sometimes he's talking, the people are in both ears, which that binaural hearing, I think that's really been the big difference for people. It's just, for people who haven't been hearing in a while, that binaural sound is really rewarding and makes people relax a little bit on the phone. Not all hearing aids do this. It has to be a Bluetooth hearing aid, so he's in that. And actually that's probably, the streaming ability is probably one of the biggest advantages to the Bluetooth hearing aids. I do want to note for my Android users, for the Android users, you can use Halos, but you currently cannot do the streaming, meaning what you were just referencing. Now, they have been working on this, from what I've been told, for over 3 years now. They're very much aware of the need for this. I have to imagine it's going to happen at some point because it's been so successful. And let's be honest, it's about money. So I can't tell you, I don't work for Apple, but I can't tell you how many Apple iPhones I've probably sold because of this product.
Absolutely.
I mean, and I'm like, I don't get a commission. But I would say, a lot of my patients come in, they have a flip top or they have an older phone,
Right.
and they know they're going to, they're going to be upgrading, and most people will upgrade their phone contract more than they renew their hearing aids.
Right.
So they'll get the Bluetooth hearing aids even if their phone is not currently compatible. The Androids, the newer Androids, you can use an app. We haven't even talked about the app yet. You can use an app to change your hearing aid settings just like you can on the iPhones.
Right.
With the iPhone, in addition, you can do that streaming, which is where you can hear your music, your books on tape, your podcasts. He referenced going to the gym. A lot of my patients do that. You know, we were talking, I don't remember if we were live or not. You ride a bike, I tend to run. It's really nice because you don't have to wear a cord. You know, you don't have to plug in. And those little earbuds never fit in my ears anyway. Yeah. So now you can just wear your hearing aids. I do have a note for Elena that I'm supposed to thank Alex for sharing. So I can't see the notes. Unfortunately, my little note thing is not popping up here. So I am going to get your questions, you guys. And Alex, thank you for sharing. So while we're on this kind of Bluetooth conversation, do you use the application on your phone? So tell me, again, a lot of people don't have any idea. We can put an app on your phone that will adjust your hearing aids. You can change volume. You can do some other things. Tell me a little bit about when you use it.
Yeah, I use mine. It's called the app is called TrueLink.
Right.
And what I use it for is I have it set for several locations that I go where I want to, you know, cut out some noise.
Okay.
Like a restaurant.
Okay.
Or different places where I know that there's going to be a lot of noise, and I have it. So I adjusted it. It has the capability of adjusting it to the noise level that you want, or the amount of hearing you need, or whatever. And then boom, I set the location on my phone.
Okay.
I save it, and automatically when I go to that location, my phone will automatically set my hearing aids to that location.
To those preferences.
Yes.
Is that hard for you to manage?
No.
No. Okay. And just one thing. You should know, we really do work with you and teach you how to do this. I know a lot of places don't, so sometimes when I'll go online just to see what reviews there are, and some of these reviews, I just want to say, call me, because I think a lot of people aren't teaching patients how to do some of this, or even how to download the app. And I mean, some of my patients are very savvy. Some have, again, they're buying an iPhone for the first time. They literally come in and they're like, what's an app? So, but it is very teachable, and I do not, just for the record, I don't go by age. I've got 90-year-olds who are all over this, a lot of 90-year-olds who are all over this actually, so it really has nothing to do, and it really is very teachable. When he's telling you he sets the location, and then he can drive into that environment, and those hearing aids change, it's pretty simple. It really is.
It really is.
Yeah, it really is pretty easy. I think the key is just making sure we can get that appointment with you so we can show you how to do it. And then we always do a follow-up appointment because people have questions.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I did not need the follow-up appointment.
Did you? Are you the one who canceled?
Well, I haven't had a follow-up appointment, but I did have an appointment where you talked about setting up the app, how it worked. You showed me how it worked and stuff, and I immediately started working on it. Yeah. And I started doing it and setting the locations and stuff. And it was amazing how much it
Good. Yeah, I really like the Bluetooth hearing aids. I would say, in my humble opinion, the Bluetooth capability is probably the biggest change I think we've seen in hearing aids in quite a few years, because it just gives the user so much more control. So, you know, the pulling them out when you're in a restaurant, that should never be happening anymore, because especially with these hearing aids, I should be able to make it better, but if you can't get in to see me, if you're in Bluetooth hearing aids, you should be able to make it better. I'm not saying you're going to understand everything, but you should definitely be able to put things in a very tolerable place so that you're not overwhelmed by background noise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's easy. It's really, the app is very simple to use. I've had no problem with it, and I think as far as improving my life everywhere I go, it's really made a huge difference for me.
I'm so glad. And I'm not paying him to say this, just so you know.
You know, and it just,
we didn't even rehearse this. So
and just now, I get my text, and I hear a little thing in my ear that I got a text, and I checked it real quick. You know,
that's nice. I didn't even know. Did that just happen?
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know. He's over here on his phone. I didn't even know, because he can hear that indicator in his ear. We do have another question.
How long will your hearing aids last before you need to replace them?
So the question is, how long will hearing aids last? Most hearing aids will be replaced every 4 to 5 years. Just so you know, that's true whether or not you have what I call high-level hearing aids or low-level hearing aids. Now, it's interesting to note, he's in Bluetooth technology, which is excellent technology, but you're actually, I think, in the lower level. I don't think you're in my highest level. Yeah, you're in the 1600s. Right. And you're active, right? Yes. I mean, you're not a homebody. No, I mean, you're still working. You go to the gym. I just learned some of these things about you. So you know, my point is, don't let the price overwhelm you too much, because not everybody needs to spend $8,000 on hearing aids to do well, okay? And some people really need to spend $8,000, but it's not going to happen because some of us don't have $8,000. That doesn't mean I can't fit you with a different technology. You're just going to lose some of that benefit in those noisy places. So I would much prefer you to at least get the information, like you said, instead of walking around, you know, with hearing loss, because it is so stressful. It really is a quality of life issue. You know, you've been wonderful, and you've talked and said a lot of great things, and I'm so pleased, really, that this has been a good quality of life. You know, it's been a good investment for you. Tell me some of the things that frustrate you about your hearing aids.
Probably just a few things. Well, one is you have to change the battery probably about once a week.
Okay.
And I always change both of them at the same time.
Okay. So it's just the hassle?
Yeah,
just having to mess with it?
Mess with it.
Okay.
And then the other thing is that sometimes the, you know, when you wear these things in your ear all day,
yes.
You know, the materials that collect in your ear and stuff makes it so they slide in and out a lot.
Okay.
So sometimes I have to adjust them a little bit.
You mean physically, the placement?
Yes,
okay.
And it's mainly because of the, you know, like the oils
mm-hmm.
and stuff like that would cause it. So what I do, just to keep it simple for me, is I keep stuff at work and I keep stuff at home.
So like a cleaning cloth? Okay.
Cleaning cloth and some solution.
Okay.
And so I do both of them at work and at home, so that doesn't occur as often for me.
So you do that, what, twice a week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I probably do that. Yeah, I probably do that.
So you probably wipe them off every day?
Yes.
Yeah. And then you're using the spray a
Yes.
few times a week. Okay. So is that more of just something I have to mess with? Or
Yes.
is it physically challenging?
No, it's just something I have to mess
Something you have
with.
to mess with?
Yeah.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, it's like anything. It's like brushing your teeth,
Yeah.
combing your hair if you had hair.
Yeah.
You know,
You just switch one for the other, that's all.
Yeah, that's all you do. And so, you know, I have my dryer that I use.
Right,
you know.
good, yes,
So I
use your
use
dryer.
it, you know, so I use my dryer, you know, and I wear my hearing aids probably about 18 hours a day.
Okay,
And so I take them out at night when I go to sleep.
okay,
And I
good.
put them in the dryer and I let them dry. And in the morning when I get up, after I shower, get cleaned up and everything, just like brushing my teeth and combing your hair that you don't have, I make sure I wipe them all down. They're all wiped and stuff,
Great.
just with a cloth, and then I just put them later.
And then hopefully, do you find that you kind of forget about them?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
There's been a time or two where I've gotten in the shower.
Yeah, yeah. And I hear that, just so you know, every day. You're not the only one who's hopped in the
And so,
shower.
I mean, immediately I run out, pull them off, and I go, oh my God, you
Yeah.
know.
Ah!
And so I, you know, quickly dry them off, you know. And,
Yeah, and usually you won't kill them. You just got to wipe them dry.
yeah.
So what, we talked a little bit about the TrueLink app, and for those of you who don't have smartphones, there are wonderful hearing aids that you don't need to use your phone, so don't feel like, wow, if I don't have a phone, I can't really wear hearing aids, or I can't wear Bluetooth hearing aids. You still can, and there are some advantages to those hearing aids, even if you don't have the phone. So I'm just trying to share information with you regarding technology and the advancements, but I don't want you to feel like, man, I don't have an iPhone, so I can't be helped, because that really is not true at all. Question?
We have another question.
Okay.
Would you ever go back to a life without hearing aids?
Oh, look at that.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. You know, the only thing I would do different
Uh-huh.
is get them sooner.
Get them sooner. You know what? I will say, with good hearing aids, thank you. I hear that a lot, and when I hear someone referencing the old days, they are in the drawer. My friend doesn't. You were telling me before we came in, your friend had hearing aids, and his wife was so frustrated because they were in a drawer. And I'm like, those things should not be happening anymore. Let me take care of you, or find someone who will take care of you. And again, if that is happening, don't keep the hearing aids. But if you're in good technology, that should not happen. Yeah. So you may just have answered that, but I was going to ask you, what advice would you give someone who's considering hearing aids for the first time, or maybe someone who's had a bad experience?
Well, you know, do some research,
Mm-hmm.
finding out about the different types of hearing aids. Don't get so shocked with the sticker price, because they are costly. But bottom line is, don't wait till you get so frustrated that
you withdraw.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's absolutely not worth it. Like I said before, the only thing I would have done any different would have been done this years ago versus waiting. And then the stigma behind having hearing aids. See, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
People have stigmas about, especially ones that you could see on the outside. Now, a lot of people are very fortunate they have hair that can cover it up a little bit and stuff. I don't.
Yeah.
So, so people see that I have hearing aids.
Right.
And you know what? I've never heard of anything that my ego told me that it was a benefit to me. So at this point, I figured my ego thing doesn't work. So it's just a matter, the thing that helps me inside personally, and it helps the quality of life that I have, that really makes a difference.
Well, and my thing is, and I know there's not hair here, but I don't think people notice them as much as you think they are. That's the thing.
Most as much as I thought they were.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, people, and my male patients are actually more concerned about this.
Absolutely.
And I think it's because we do have hair. But the guys are very concerned about this, but I will tell them the first week or the first day, I'm like, your wife is fine, but go find your best friend, the guy who will really, tell you the truth. And they, every time, like 100%, they come in and they're like, they didn't even notice them. I'm like, and so then they really relax, because they don't, especially when the whole big Bluetooth thing came out years ago. I will say this, I think it changed our industry because it took away some of those vanity concerns, because people are used to seeing these big bulky things, and these don't look like the old-fashioned hearing aids, the big beige things, and they don't have to look like that anymore, really. So again, I want to just kind of, for those who came in a little late, I'm Dr. Jessee with Good Sound Audiology, and we have a really, really so gracious guest here today, Ray Villa, who's one of our hearing aid patients who got hearing aids for the first time in 2016. And one thing I was going to ask you, how did you find Good Sound Audiology? How did you find me? Who referred you? Do you remember?
Well, I just did some research.
Okay,
online.
So just went online.
Yeah, and I did some research, and I saw some really good referrals, so I used that and decided to give you guys a call.
Oh, good reviews.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. No, I didn't look, and I couldn't remember. Most of our referrals, and I know every practice is different, but most of my referrals come from physicians. And very gratefully so, patients. I'm very lucky that way, because I was telling you before we came in, we're just little Arizona small practice, private practice. So those patient referrals, we don't miss a one. We're always very grateful, and we definitely take note to that. So sometimes I don't know. A lot of people get referred in by their doctors. I wasn't sure how you.
Yeah, and and ever since I came and got my hearing aids over the last 6 months, I became now the
spokesperson?
Spokesperson for my work.
Right.
And so people, if they want hearing aids, they come and ask me about them.
Really?
Talk to them and stuff, and that's why I've referred.
It's amazing. People kind of crawl out of the woodwork.
Absolutely.
And
I
can't hear either.
And especially if they see somebody, in the law enforcement profession,
yes,
it's kind of people are kind of weird about hearing aids.
Yeah.
It's
so
kind of a manly.
There's a lot of testosterone in there, I think.
Yeah, really manly profession. So the idea of having a man running around who works for a police department with hearing aids doesn't always jive all at one time.
Right.
But when I tell them the benefit of it all and stuff and what they get out of it, they finally get out of that feeling and decide to move forward to it. Especially a lot of these guys nowadays, most of them have shaved heads and stuff like that, and work in law enforcement. So it's not
I was telling you, in my Gilbert location, we have quite a few Gilbert police officers. Our Mesa is our newest office, so we don't have as many patients here, obviously, as in Gilbert. But I was saying I don't know many police officers. I do a lot of hearing evaluations on that population, and unfortunately, because of the guns, there's just not a lot of normal hearing that we find. And for a lot of you guys, this is years of exposure.
Oh, yes.
You have to practice,
well,
you have to train, you have to stay current.
Yeah,
and you have to stay current. So I always say if people were in my office every day, they would never shoot another gun, because there's so much pain that some people, I say, they don't feel lucky when they come in, but you can shoot a gun one time and have permanent hearing loss. So they come in and they're devastated. I mean, they're really, really devastated because they've lost their hearing. It's not going to come back in some cases. And even though they're not feeling lucky, they're never going to do it again. right? Because they feel the pain, not the, you know, it doesn't physically hurt, but it's impacting. They can't go to work. They're like, oh my gosh, I've never not heard before. Right. And so they don't have any coping skills. And then there's someone who can shoot guns based on genetics for years, and you're doing damage, but it doesn't hurt, so you keep doing it. Right. And you didn't have that sudden loss, so then by the time you get to me, it's like, oh, we could have stopped this. Yes. I didn't tell you this up front, but it's now, I'm going to say 8, because I just cannot believe the latest study I saw where it said 1 in 6. So I just cannot, I don't want to believe that's true. But 1 in 8 teenagers have permanent hearing loss.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that at all.
Secondary, it's noise exposure.
Yes, it is.
Guns and music, completely preventable. Isn't that sad? I'm like, that doesn't even sound possible. How are we on time, guys? Are we?
6 after.
Oh, good. So we're supposed to stop. Oh my goodness.
Anytime.
Oh, so sorry.
You're good.
We are out of time. I think I even got through all my questions. Wow, you were lovely. Thank you so much. You were, I mean, you really are a good spokesperson, because I think I can sit and tell people all day long how I have the best job in the world, because what I do is very rewarding. I mean, emotionally, I love what I do, but I'm selling something. So if people can talk to people who wear hearing aids and hear the good and the bad,
oh, yeah,
and the ugly, then when you're ready, at least maybe you can make a little more of an informed choice. You can also make an informed choice with wine.
Absolutely.
Which is this?
It's actually Pinot Noirs are my favorite.
Oh, see, there you
my wife's
go.
favorite.
Oh, you know what? Maybe we'll cork this up and you can take it home to her, because I cannot drink all this by myself. Again, thank Winters Hill. Really, if you guys love a good Pinot Noir, they'll ship it to you. And again, they're not giving me anything to say that. I just like this wine, and so I try to make good recommendations. They don't make a good wine, so if you want a nice white for the hot months, go there. Or, what did I say? They don't make a nice wine?
Yeah.
They don't make a nice wine. They don't make a bad wine. So anyway, so hit Winters Hill up. You can Google them. Paul, I think, will take care of you. Again, it's family owned, so I always like to support small business, especially if someone makes a really good product. So I'll send this home with your wife. I just want to make one comment. Yeah.
Real quick. She's exactly like this when she comes and sees you. No different.
Is that?
No different. She's exactly this way.
Is that good? I hope that's good.
So,
I hope
so
that's
you
good.
get that kind of personal help from her when you come into the office. So that's what you get from coming to Good Sound Audio.
Oh, thank you. And again, I'm not paying him. I wish I could pay you, because this has been nice. But I do really want to thank you, because I know you weren't feeling super great today, and you're donating your time for this. And I hope, you know, people will see this video and maybe share it with some of those people who are struggling and they really don't know where to start or even what to ask. So anyway, you guys, don't drink and drive. I hope you had some wine while we were talking and enjoyed our first happy hour. We're going to try to do this once a month. We'll have a different guest, different professionals, patients, just people talking about hearing and hearing aids. So again, I'm Dr. Jessee from Good Sound Audiology. A special thank you to you, really. Thank you. And feel better, drink some water, and I think that's all. So cheers, and thank you for coming. Take care.